It's Joanna Berkebile here, powered by Remax, and I'm in my office today, and a little subject came up in my head, and I figured that I would just have a little chat with you. It's a question that comes up quite often when I am talking to prospective buyers. There's all kinds of nuts and bolts in the buying process, but one of the most essential and one of the initial things that you have to focus on, even though, it's a little pesky, is the whole money side of things. Where's the money going to come from? Do you have a rich uncle? Do you have cash? Those are beautiful, wonderful things. But if you don't have them, then chances are, like most Americans, you're going to be seeking out a home loan, which is great. It provides, it's a powerful tool that you can use to make a strategic investment, a strategic debt, especially if you're renting and considering that space versus building equity, all of that. I could go on for days about that subject. But anyway, if you're wanting to buy a home and you need a home loan, what to do? It's very daunting. I mean, even just talking about money is not something most people do every day. I do, but I understand that can be kind of an uncomfortable space, a confusing space. You're basically going to a stranger and saying, hey, can I have $200,000 or whatever this is? So let me just shed some light on a particular part of this subject, how to pick a good lender. I know quite a few excellent lenders who I'm always happy to recommend. It's not always a one size fits all. There are, everybody has their own life circumstance and situation. So I always recommend to at least talk to two lenders before you go sailing out into the crazy space of looking and shopping and buying. You want to know, have a solid foundation of like, okay, what's the deal here? What are you actually looking at for your monthly payment and for your initial down payment and closing costs and those kinds of things. So before I feel that I can advise a buyer thoroughly, we need to have that piece of the puzzle. The lender is that sometimes an invisible but very important partner in the buying process. So, but the question I get a lot is like, I don't know where to start. I mean, you could just Google good Kansas City home lender, or, well, I bank at X bank for my checking account, so I guess I might as well just go there, or whatever. There are no immediately wrong answers, so I'm not gonna say, oh, don't do this and don't do that. That's not what I do, because it's not one size fits all. However, here's some signs when you're interacting with a lender that can tell you, kind of, are you on track here? Is this someone that's going to be serving you best and really being a partner in this process? So one is the money. Okay, so this is all about money. That's the most important part. So one thing that I look for in an interaction with and a communication with a lender is when you talk to them, okay, you're going to tell them a story, what you want, your dream, your vision. Fantastic. And then from there, they need to put that into dollars and cents. So they will, of course, have some documentation they're going to require from you, probably taxes, probably some income and some bank statements and those pesky things that nobody wants to do, but it's part of the process. But on top of that, after that's done, once they look at the dollars and cents and the situation, they should give you a very detailed breakdown of an estimated, basically your estimated costs. So when you you have your initial talk, and they should get back to you, and hopefully quickly, depending on their workload and such. But I love to see, some kind of communication within 24 hours if you've submitted all of your documentation, that not only has, if you're pre-approved, the pre-approval letter is a beautiful thing. That's what I use to put with an offer to say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, or whoever you are, this is my buyer. They have the money promised to them from X bank. But that pre-approval letter doesn't really tell anyone the behind the scenes numbers. It doesn't say anything about the interest rate typically. It doesn't say anything about your upfront costs and all those things, which are incredibly important to know before you start looking at houses. Because if you walk into a house that's $180,000 or $300,000, whatever it is, and you've got that golden ticket, the pre approval letter, but we don't know what that monthly payment is or how much your closing costs will be, well, we're kind of flying blind here. We know that, yeah, you can get it, but is that comfortable? Is that good? So, one thing I look for from a lender is a lender who, without you even having to ask, will give you that detailed breakdown, which will at least include your interest rate. Very important. They're very low these days, so you know, that's I always recommend looking at a couple different lenders too, because oftentimes you just go, whoa, oh my god, an interest rate of 3%, that's amazing. Well it is, but actually I've been experiencing things lower than that. So don't just be satisfied with good. Shop around and compare numbers to numbers, apples to apples, interest rate here versus interest rate there. It's very simple on a paper once you line it up. And then, of course, your closing costs and your expected down payment. Down payment can vary. Sometimes there are programs where you don't have to put anything down. Those are a little hard to come by right now, but FHA is 3.5%. Conventional is all over the place. You can put down a ton. You can put down the 20%, but there's most conventional loans that I'm working with these days are actually 10 or 5%, not 20%. So just so that you know, okay, so you can do an apples to apples comparison. And then once you have that, I, your trusty neighborhood realtor, am happy to step in and help you look at it and maybe help you ask some questions that maybe if you're a first time buyer, you wouldn't know to ask without a little bit of coaching. It's a confusing space sometimes because you're supposed to ask questions, but then you don't know what kind of questions to ask to get the answers that you need. So don't sweat it. That's okay. That's partially what a realtor is here for. So that's kind of number one. You want a lender who is going to be very transparent with you from the get-go, not having to bug them or hum and haw about it, exactly what the deal is with your loan. Second thing is communication. I kind of hinted on this before, but if you are getting the impression that you're calling the lender and they're not responding promptly, or they're responding kind of robotically or whatever, and you're getting the impression like you can't speak to an actual lender or a person within probably a 24-hour period is the minimum, I would say, because urgency here. We've got we got deals to make. Houses are popping on and on off the market all the time, so we need to be sure that you've got someone who we can go to, either you or me as your advocate can go to as a resource for like, hey, what's going on with this particular house? We'll have a million questions. Sometimes there are a million questions anyway, and if you're just a number or a piece of paper in a big stack on somebody's desk in, I don't know, Texas or whatever, you have a less chance to kind of get that edge when competition is high like it is right now. So I highly recommend making sure you feel comfortable with the flow of communication from the get-go with your lender. If you feel like you're just kind of like second-class citizen, then I would say maybe find something that feels a little more flowing, a little more comfortable. Also, a lender who can present to you different options. So, getting the golden ticket pre-approval letter is wonderful, but your lender should be discussing with you at some point, well, what about this and what about that? Even if you're going conventional and that's beautiful and that's fine, what are the differences between maybe offering 10% versus 20%? What are the advantages and disadvantages? They should be able to talk to you intelligently about that and even instigate that conversation at the appropriate time. Sometimes I will talk to a new client they've got their pre-approval letter, and this has happened before. They've got FHA. Okay, an FHA loan, beautiful, 3.5% down. This is a totally functional thing. But I stepped in and said, "Oh, hello, lender. What about conventional? Would conventional be something that could work?" And the lender had just kind of said, "Well, oh, well, they just asked for FHA, so that's just what I gave them." Instead of taking that little extra step to say, "Oh, but you're asking for FHA, but actually, what about this?" So somebody who can not just sort of plug and play, um, you know, giving you exactly what, if you call up and say, "This is what I want," beautiful, but at the same time, hopefully creating some further conversations based on what they know. That's their area of expertise. They're the lender. They got the money and they know how all that works. So yeah, those are things that are really helpful. Also, this is not a necessity, but it kind of goes along with the communication thing. A local lender can provide some local insights that perhaps a non-local lender would not. If there's a lender in another state, obviously if they're licensed in Kansas City, that's fine. I mean, I've definitely done a lot of that before with good result. But I've noticed that when I work with local lenders, they're a little more invested in the process sometimes, and they can provide some more local insights, especially as we're hopping around town and shopping in different areas and comparing taxes and different things like that. So I respect and value the insight that a local lender can give, and it's also keeping the money in the community. You're supporting another local business. I'm a local business, so I do my darndest to support local business. But anyway, that's my little commentary for now. There are other angles, of course, but those are the main things. I won't talk your ear off, but those are things to consider when you're launching into that crazy space of home loans. But believe me, it's a little tedious sometimes, but it's not as scary as you might think. So, first time home buyers out there, I part of what I do is coaching through the application process of a loan. I'm not a lender, but I am happy to step in, help you ask questions, help you make sure you're getting the best deal and the best service from a lender who will not just kind of give you the money, but be a partner with us through the purchase process. Because there's lots of little bits and pieces that happen, through the searching process all the way through to closing, that make all the difference, from an incredibly rocky, stressful situation to a smooth sailing. Oh, yeah, okay, nip that in the bud, nip that in the bud. We are taken care of. A communicative expert on the lender side, who really has an interest in you, helping you as a buyer to find your best option, makes a world of difference, really. I mean, I've experienced both. And when I get hooked in with a good lender and a buyer and we're all on the same page, I can't tell you I mean, it makes such a huge difference, especially when we're in this competitive, low inventory situation right now. If we are of one mind and we are unified and going forward together, I'm finding a lot of success with that. So, yeah, lenders often necessary, to engage with, and that's my story for today. One little aspect of this crazy, crazy world of real estate. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Please, if you have a friend who is considering buying, maybe they're a little tentative, a little scared, please share this video with them. So hopefully maybe they can know a little bit more and be a little less intimidated by the whole like lender thing. And feel free to connect them with me. Any of you all out there, whether I know you or not, if you're seeing me, I would love to chat with you. I got no agenda other than just helping my Kansas City friends and neighbors, make the best choices in this real estate world that I'm in. I love what I do, and I love you guys. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.